o'clock, time to have the Commissioners meeting for September 21st. I'd like to remind everyone to please silence your cell phones or cut them off so you won't be interrupting the meeting. Our invocation today is by Commissioner Foster.
Everyone bow their head. We thank you for this day. We thank you for allowing us to gather here to make decisions on the best of this county. We ask you to guide us to make those right moral decisions by your standards. In all things we pray. Amen.
Amen. Commissioner Darty, pledge of allegiance.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Foster and Commissioner Darty. I need a motion to approve the minutes of the August 17th meeting.
So moved.
All right. I have a motion on the floor. Any discussion? If none, all in favor show sign of right hand. All opposed? Mr. Honeycutt, is any adjustments to the agenda?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. We would like to add as number 2 and then move the presentation by Judge Heath to number 3 on the drug court. But number 2 is a resolution honoring the Honorable Mayor Chuck Allen in his passing, and I believe Commissioner Daltrey would like to read that as well. And that is the only change we have at this time.
Thank you. Okay, good. I need a motion to
So moved.
have a motion on the floor that we adjust the agenda to add the resolution for Mayor Allen. Any discussion? None, all in favor show right hand. All opposed? Motion carries.
Yes, I did, ma'am.
Excuse me, Chair. Excuse me, Chair. I had one thing, I kind of sort of just forgot about it. On the approval of the minutes from August 17th, we had 2 different explanations of a motion that we made according to the Register of Deeds. It was sent twice. There's some changes made in it. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes, sir.
I was wondering, like, what were we actually approving? Because it was changed from once, and then it was some wording that was changed. So I was a little bit confused on that.
Well, after council looked at it, I mean, both the motions were in there specifically and how they were voted on, so I'm not certain what your question is.
But it was you sent it once, and then it got sent back twice, and I thought something was changed, and I can't remember exactly what it was. I just wanted to make sure what was changed, and had council looked at that, and what did they change?
They have approved the minutes prior to them coming to you.
So, excuse my attorney, can you give me a little bit of clarity on that motion?
I think that on page 7 of your agenda, there were one dealt with operating hours, and one dealt with the and there was other one was who was to be when the registry was to be open, and that's in the middle of that page.
Yes.
And then that's what I understood happened at the last meeting, at the meeting of this.
Yes, sir. And after reading that rule, I had called Andrew after that meeting. I have some issues with that rule that we can't mandate any hours at the Register of Deeds.
The statute authorizes the county commissioners to say when it's to be open.
No, it doesn't. And that's the problem that I have. I've seen that nowhere in the statute that mandates that. Section NCGS 161-8 doesn't say that at all. And that's the problem that I'm having. And when even recently it was voted on in the House, it was voted against it. So we can't mandate any of her hours. It's for her to set those hours. And we have zero control over it. So that's why this motion for me is out of line. And that's something that needs to be looked at immediately.
I'll look at it again, but when the last time I looked at it, the county did have, the commissioners
Now,
had
if
the.
anyone wants to, I can bring it up real quick.
You said 161-8,
Yes,
attendance at office.
yes. The Board of County Commissioners may fix by order, by entered on their records, what days of the week each and what hours each day of the register of deeds shall attend the office in person by the deputy and shall be given his attendance accordingly. Okay, now with that, that's up to the register of deeds just to report her hours. It's not saying that we can mandate those hours and that we can say, this is what time you have to be open, this is what time you have to be closed. Because if something happens in that office, that's on her decision to say, okay, she's closed on this day. We can't say, oh, you have to be open. And that's where I draw the line at, and that's the area that I'm having a problem with.
I think it's in the wording. Because my wording is a little bit different than that. And I'm just stating this is what I sent you, I think. It says the Board of County Commissioners may fix by order to be entered on their records what days of each week and at what hours of each day the Register of Deeds shall attend at his office, or her, I guess it would be, in person or by deputy, which would be the second in charge, I guess. And he or she shall give his attendance accordingly.
Okay.
So is that not,
But that's what I'm saying. We can, at the end of the day, we can say whatever hours, we can say 8 to 5, but it's still up to that register of deeds to make those hours is the point. This was just at the House. We can call our representatives and get this cleared up quickly. It did not pass for us to control her hours. It's a difference.
Commissioner Foster, would you mind if we move this to the next meeting?
Yes.
The attorneys look into it?
I would appreciate that.
Put this on as an agenda item for our next meeting.
Yes. Thank you.
You good with that?
Yes, I'm fine with
Okay,
that.
all right, let's move on.
Thank you, sir.
so are we approving the minutes or not approving the minutes? Okay, well, 10-4.
Got a special presentation.
Presentation.
The first special presentation we do have this morning is an agriculture update by County Extension Director Kevin Johnson and the introduction of State 4-H President Guillermo Estrada. And Kevin is here. Appreciate you being here.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I do want to give you an agriculture update, but before we do that, I'm just so excited to have Guillermo here. He is our state 4-H president. He's got a lot to tell you. He's excited. I've watched this young man since he was a baby, and he is fantastic. And the reason that's so, his mother just happens to work with us, and I guess to make that known for the public. But in any case, I'm just excited, and I'm going to go ahead and let Guillermo have the floor.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Mr. Chair Aycock, Mr. Vice Chair Harrison, and Commissioners Daughtry, Foster, Gurley, and Williams. My name, again, is Guillermo Estrada, your 2021 to 2022 North Carolina 4-H State Council President, and it is an honor to be here today and to see a couple of familiar faces and talk to you a little bit about the impact that 4-H is creating here in Wayne County and in North Carolina and nationally. So for those who have never been or heard of 4-H, 4-H is a nationwide youth organization delivered by Cooperative Extension. For more than 100 years, 4-H has welcomed young people of all beliefs, backgrounds, giving kids a voice to express who they are and how they make their lives in communities better, or in other words, making the best better in their communities. In North Carolina, we have a county 4-H program in all 100 counties, and they make up our 5 districts. So Wayne County is part of the Southeast District, or Southeast is Beast. So I used to be the district president last year. So for many who know and love 4-H, 4-H is often considered to be an agriculturally based program. But although that is a very big part of 4-H and basically our roots, we have grown to be inclusive and inspiring for all youth with programs involving healthy living, culture, arts, STEM, robotics, and so much more. In North Carolina specifically, we have clubs that range from a world-renowned robotics club, our leadership training club, a Mexican folkloric dance group, beekeeping, shooting sports, wildlife conservation, and of course agriculture. Now, for me, one of my favorite 4-H programs is civic engagement, which for me became one of the greatest opportunities of my life. In 2019, I attended our Citizenship in North Carolina 4-H Focus, where I had to set up meetings with our local legislators, getting the opportunity to meet with Majority Leader Bell and now Majority Whip Perry. And within a year, this meeting helped me gain a campaign internship and friendship with Representative Bell and Patrick Archer, who have helped me tremendously, teaching me skills in politics, networking, and campaigning. Now, 4-H sets youth up for success. Without the program of Citizenship Focus, I wouldn't be in politics the way I am today. 4-H sets the youth, again, up for success in this county, the state, and nation, handing you the opportunity to work hard for your dreams, but also teaching you how to actually work hard for them and how to be appreciative of the people that help you get there. Now this year, our state council theme is You Belong with 4-H. So that means that all 100 counties will be based on making sure that we're reintroducing the 4-H program after a year of a pandemic as You Belong with 4-H. This year is already jam-packed with opportunities to elevate our programming and membership to new heights through reintroducing our peak virtual programming, our 4-H Explore social media campaign, which this month we're focusing on Hispanic Heritage Month, and next month we'll be focusing on the beauty of our state fair. And we just came back from our Cows Tailgate, where we also got to meet the Dean of Cows at NC State. We got to meet Commissioner of Agriculture, Steve Truxler, and get to, again, reintroduce 4-H in all its glory, and make sure that we're working hard for our district and statewide events this year that will hopefully finally be in person after 2 years. Now, thank you for your time today, and I look forward to working with all of you to make the best better here in Wayne County. Thank you.
Thank you. And congratulations on being elected president. Thank you.
It is a very high honor. With him today, of course, is his mother, Michelle. I think everyone knows Michelle. And of course, Jessica Hamilton is our 4-H agent. So, you know, Wayne County 4-H has been probably one of the top programs in the state for years, and we're proud of it. We're continuing that tradition, and we're just so proud of Guillermo. So,
do they still have the programs in the public school system?
Right now, we do not. We have an after-school program we have for years, and you know, with COVID, we're not in the schools right now. So we hope, we've got future plans, but right now it's just we can't do it right now. So hopefully when things get back to normal, we can get back in the public school.
So you were in the schools before COVID hit?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Let me ask you one question. Even though you're in the schools, were they cutting back on the resources you had available, such as mentors and so on and so forth?
It was an after-school program, and, you know, they provided the space for us. And, no, I think it was business as usual up until COVID hit, and it was just not conducive environment, and we understand that.
I got you.
So, quickly, I do want to give you an agriculture update. I think it's important that y'all, and you probably know farmers, every one of you, and you're in communication with them. But you know, it has been an interesting year. I think the big topic of conversation is the pork industry, and A lot of the growers that had lost their contracts have been picked up by Smithfield. There is another smaller company that is placing animals out there in some of the houses. But there's still going to be people that are displaced and will probably never get animals back. This was brought on by the economy. It was brought on by COVID, of course, helped kind of expedite this. But it is painful, but it is, as far as looking at it from an optimistic standpoint, it is nice to see some of these farmers get picked up. And so that is good. From a crop standpoint, I did want to let y'all know we're pretty much wrapping up our corn harvest. It's been a fabulous year. Rainfall was abundant during summer, and of course that's essential with corn. We're getting ready to really get into harvest mode with cotton, peanuts, the sweet potatoes. We're getting ready to start digging those, and of course then soybeans. Our tobacco crop, tobacco for 100 years was our #1 cash crop. It is not anymore. We are about half the production we were 10 years ago. But it's still an important crop, and this year was quite challenging. They're getting good prices for them, but their pounds, for those who grew up in it, is based on pounds, and they're going to be short pounds this year, which means the crop was hurt by, essentially, Wayne County averages about 49 inches of rain a year, and we got about half of that in June, July, and August. We got about 25 inches. So that made it challenging for a lot of our crops, but there's still some bright news out there, and we're excited, and hopefully we can come back at the end of the year and have more positive news to tell you. As I wrap things up, do want to let you know we have a fall festival at the farmers market this weekend. That'll run from 9 to 2. So if you want to come out, there's going to be a pumpkin contest. There's going to be fire trucks, police, our sheriff's office will have a presence out there. We're going to have hay rides. So come out, visit the vendors, and as we kind of wrap the season up at the farmers market. And two, the Chamber of Commerce is very involved in agriculture now. We have our agriculture hot topic will be October the 18th at the Maxwell Center. I'm sure you all will be invited. Hopefully you'll be able to attend that. So we're going to have, we're going to be focusing on labor, because y'all know labor is a big deal in agriculture. Has been for years, but COVID has really brought that to the forefront. But anyway, we will be focusing on labor in agriculture. So anybody have any questions?
Mr. Johnson, I have one comment and one question here. Even though the whole farmers are coming by, there's other workers, the truck drivers, the plumbers, and so on and so forth that's displaced. A lot of those folks have moved on, and it's unfortunate because I think we've lost a lot of talent here in Wayne County. And my question is, hemp crops in Wayne County, is that on the rise, or what's going on there?
So hemp was hot about 2 years ago. It is not hot now. Hemp really picked up interest, especially with our tobacco farmers, because they were looking to supplement their income as the tobacco demand was going down. But, hemp can be grown anywhere in America. It can be grown in greenhouses. It can be grown rather cheaply. We had a lot of farmers planted it. They were unable to sell it where they needed to sell it to make a profit. Some could not even sell it. So no, we have minimal amounts grown in Wayne County right now.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Prestige picked up some like south of 70, their bill's done.
Prestige picked up some south of 70. They picked up one north of the river that I know of.
Yeah. Smithfield's
picked up several. And then
somebody in the northern part of the state that's supposed to be coming from.
Yeah, you have Valari, which has got their processing plant in Warsaw. and they're working in conjunction with others, trying to put together some stuff to help process. So
It's been you've been involved in it a lot, trying to help people, and we appreciate it, because that was a big blow to Wayne County, but we're coming back.
We're coming back, we are. And I do have a handout in front of you, and Guillermo has a handout for y'all. Carol, thank you for getting that out to them, but it's just a little handout that kind of highlights agriculture in the county, gives some good talking points. So, but if you have anything else, y'all can reach out to me.
Mr. Chairman, I did have one question. Could you give us an idea of the percentage of growers that have been picked up by other companies?
I would say over half.
Well, that's good to hear.
Over half. The system that, say, Smithfield has does not include nursery farms. So I see a lot of our nursery growers not getting back into the business, which is sad. I mean, but that's just, kind of how
Well,
things.
just where is Smithfield getting
So
their feeder pigs?
Smithfield has a different process. They'll take the pigs, they'll wean them from the sow and take them in the house and keep them there to finish. Before, you would have a sow farm, it would get weaned, go to a nursery farm for a month, and then it would move on to a finishing. They've eliminated that.
That's kind of an industry trend going across the board, too.
It is, and it's not a bad trend. I mean, you don't stress the animals with moving them. So,
Well, you kind of keep us up to date on how that 50% gets to 60, 75, and so on up.
I will.
We're very interested to see that.
And 110%.
Yeah, that'd be good to hear.
That would be nice. We'll never get back to 100. I know we won't, but, if we can get it up higher than that, but it has been nice to see some of our growers picked up. And that's been
Thank you for all you're doing to kind of mitigate that.
Yeah, thank you.
And there has been some legislation to try to kind of help with like the management plans and things like that. So that's.
Yeah, I mean, I do think from the state and from a political side, everything has been very conducive to help this industry maintain and grow. It's just a matter of markets, labor. There's a whole lot of things that have brought this on. The economy has brought this on. And go ahead and keep in mind, y'all seen the difference in the grocery store. And it's not going to happen. It's not going to be an overnight sensation of it coming down. In fact, it may never come down. So,
Mr. Chairman, if I can mention and want to congratulate Kevin. Kevin is now currently the chairman of the Chambers Board. And so that's a very high honor for Kevin and the work that he has done throughout the county, being the chairman of the Chamber Board. And we appreciate the work that Kevin does.
Thank you, sir.
thank you. Thank
We
you.
appreciate
Thank
what all
you.
the county employees do. Thank you.
Next, we do have a resolution honoring the Honorable Chuck Allen, and we'll have Commissioner Daughtry would like to read that.
Mr. Chairman, it's a big honor to read this resolution. Resolution 2021-31, a resolution honoring the Honorable Chuck Allen. Whereas serving one's community and its citizens is a noble calling, and whereas the Wayne County Board of Commissioners desires to honor public servant Chuck Allen, and whereas Chuck Allen graduated from Goldsboro High School in 1979 and from NC State in 1985, and returned to his hometown where he remained until his passing. And whereas Chuck Allen began his public service with the city of Goldsboro on the Goldsboro City Council in 1999, and whereas Chuck Allen was instrumental in securing the new Highway 70 bypass, or future Interstate 42, was a founding member of the Highway 70 Corridor Commission, worked tirelessly on many projects, including the revitalization of downtown Goldsboro, the Maxwell Center, and promoted a strong and admirable relationship between the community and Seymour Johnson Air Force Base. And whereas Chuck Allen's greatest passion was serving the citizens of the city of Goldsboro, having served as chairman of numerous boards and commissions, and as its mayor until June of this year, only leaving that position due to his battle with terminal brain cancer. Therefore, be it resolved, the Wayne County Board of Commissioners extends its sincere sympathies to the family, friends, and work family of Chuck Allen, and will miss the working relationship and friendship shared with him. Adopted this 21st day of September 2021, George Wayne Aycock Jr., Chairman of the Wayne County Board of Commissioners. Mr. Chairman, I move that we adopt this resolution.
I have a motion on the floor. Any discussion? I would like to say that, I knew of Chuck Allen before I came on this board. Got the chance to work with him on many projects, and I can honestly say the man loved Goldsboro. Did we always agree on some of the things, some of the issues? No, but he, regardless of whether you agreed with him or not, I don't think there's anyone can say that he did not love Goldsboro and Wayne County, but especially Goldsboro. He did a lot for Goldsboro, and he had a way of getting things done. He was one of those that it was hard to say no to him because he could sell you on an ideal. But I'm quite sure and quite confident that the city has got the right people in place to carry on a lot of his dreams, and he will be missed. But we need to keep the city in the prayers because they've not only with him passing, but with things the way they are this day and time, they've got their hands full, the same as we do. But I just would like to thank Chuck for what he has done for the city of Goldsboro. Thank you. Anyone else? I have a motion on the floor. All in favor show sign of right hand. All opposed? You get the count, Madam Clerk. Thank you.
Then we, under special presentations, number 3, we have a presentation by the Honorable Judge Elizabeth Heath on the Family Drug Court. And Judge Heath is here. We appreciate her being here as well.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Okay. She told me there was some technology up here, which I probably will mess up.
Chief, you said that like it's a bad thing.
Do what?
You said that like it was a bad thing.
I say it because it happens to me all the time.
This little part on the mouse, just roll it down.
Roll it and it goes, okay. Right. Okay, thank you. So, so I appreciate the chance to be here. I know some of you and some I don't. This is the first time I think I've come and actually given a presentation like this to the Wayne County Board. So I'm excited to do that today. Some of you know I'm the Chief District Court Judge now in the 8th District, which is Wayne, Lenoir, and Greene counties. And I've been a judge now since almost my 20th year. Been chief for about 3 years. And it's been exciting being a chief, brand new chief during COVID. I don't know what could have been more of an interesting experience. Do you, Mr. Parker? But one of my passions is drug court. And so we've had some very exciting things happening after years of working on it. And so I wanted to come share that with you guys because this is for y'all too. And I don't know how much you know about what's been going on because we haven't really had the chance to get out and tell it as much as I would like to. So I'm going to go through, I've got slides. I'm not going to read them to you, but I'm going to go through them or through information as quick as I can. If you want more information, of course, you can get up with me, and I'll be glad to share with you Okay, it's already not, there we go. Okay, real quickly, drug courts have been around in North Carolina since in 1995. In 2005, Wayne County actually was one of the pilot groups that went out and explored and started a family drug court in North Carolina. And a couple years after that, Lenore County got on board. We were operating along, the state funded the program. We were having a good time. They were doing all our training, providing staff, drug testing, all those things that go with operating a drug court. In 2011, the legislature just cut the program completely across the board. And basically, in about 2 weeks, we had to go in and tell the people we were working with, hey, we're not going to do this anymore. And so some of us just didn't want to do that. We wanted to keep trying to make it work. So that began a years and years long journey to try to figure out how to make that happen. Now, keep in mind, I went to law school. I did not learn about drug use in law school. I did not learn about drug grant writing in law school. I did not learn about how to staff and the mental health system and all those things that I now have found are more important for me to know than the law that I learned when I was in law school. But that's the way it goes, and it's okay. I started in 2011, and the first thing, looking for money, in the first place, I happened to be sitting at a county commissioner meeting just like this in Lenore County, and I found out there was a budget line item from the East Point that you had to have some kind of program dealing with substance use issues in your district, in your county. I said, I want that money. Give it to me. Solves y'all's problem. I'm going to use it for substance use. Y'all don't have to worry about it. It was $30,000. And we started with that, operated on a shoestring for a while. It wasn't good because we were not operating by best practices for drug courts. And so, but it was what we had. So we kept going, and eventually, we were able to move into some other funding opportunities, and I'll get to those in a minute. I want to tell you about the difference. You will hear this because I'm not finished yet. Right now, we're in family drug treatment court. We've had one since 2005. We have never had an adult drug treatment court, and I want one. And I'm going to be coming to y'all at some point. I'm not asking you for money. Let me get that straight right off. Not asking you for money, but I want your support. Because we're going to start working on an adult drug treatment court. And that man right back there and this one, I hope, are going to help me too, because they have been doing some great things with the substance use issues in our justice system. But the difference is, family drug treatment courts, the participants are referred to our court out of abuse, neglect, and dependency court. So what that means is their parents who have either lost or at risk of losing their children because of substance use issues. So Mr. Parker sees those families all the time. I work with him in an abuse and neglect court. They get referred from that court into the family drug treatment court. And our goal, and I just heard this the other day and I love it, we've always said reunification with families is what our goal is in our family drug treatment court. I heard this judge in a training, and he said he tells his participants, we're not here to reunify you with your children, because that's the way we've always talked about it and looked at it. What we're here for is to reunify your children. I'll say this backwards. Not here to reunify your children with you. We're here to reunify you with your children. You get that? I mean, that was a mind shift for me. I was like, yeah, that is what we're doing. We're trying to get you back for your children from this substance use. That's what it's about. Adult drug treatment court's a little different because those folks are involved in the criminal court system. They have charges related to drug use in criminal court. They're in the sheriff's jail. We are in an adult drug treatment court trying to deal with them and get them, instead of being sitting in his jail and costing y'all how much a day? $90, whatever it is a day. We're trying to get them out and teaching them vocational skills, getting them treatment, getting them housing, whatever all those things are that have contributed to their substance use issues. So that's the difference in the two courts. We have a dream to have an adult drug court to go with our family drug treatment court too. So I'm going to kind of slip past this. We know this, drug courts are evidence-based, they're effective, they are nationally approved, they are nationally determined to be a very positive experience. In our family court, we call it Family Accountability and Recovery Court, which is important because accountability is important with substance use and recoveries while we're there. We have all these people that are on our team. They participate. And then we have these community members that participate. And you can see those. Whoops. So here's how it works. We get those referrals, as I mentioned, from abuse and neglect court. We have now, so with money, which I'll get to how I got that money, but I now have some money, so I've been able to hire a case coordinator and an administrator, which has made all the difference in the world to us being able to operate this program like we should be. We're getting ready to expand to 2 tracks. What we've been operating is when Mr. Parker files a petition in an abuse and neglect court, if the parent is adjudicated in there, they get referred to our court at that point. We have found that we lose a lot of people from there to the time they get referred to us because, as is required, and it should be, DSS has already been working with them for months sometimes before the petition gets filed, trying to help them so that you don't have to file the petition. We are going, and that's who we've been working with so far. So it's kind of hard sometimes to get, especially with this opioid business. It is hard, just hard to deal with this addiction compared to previous. Used to be I say, give me a crack cocaine case any day. It was a lot easier to deal with. But it's hard to get them engaged after the petition is filed. So we've looked at that. And we're going to add a track 2 to our program, which is before a petition gets filed. When DSS identifies people that have substance use issues early on, we're going to have a program that they can come interact with us and hopefully keep a petition from even having to be filed. So what happens is they get referred to us. While they are with us in our program, they get drug tested at least twice a week. They go to treatment, which includes outpatient treatment, can be inpatient treatment, group sessions, individual sessions, all those sorts of things. And so these numbers are a little difficult. One of our problems has been we don't really have a great data collection system. But these numbers were provided for us through the Guardian Ad Litem program, and I think they're what I want you to look, okay, COVID in there, we kind of lost that year. You can see, we don't have good numbers from that year because we went online, and it was just hard to keep up with good numbers. But look at the 2018, 2019 numbers compared to the 2020, 2021. In our district, this is our district, here's the number that's important. The first set, 173 children were involved. The next period, 376 children involved. That's how many more cases in 2 years the 8th district filed. You feel like you were touching just about all of them in there. We just had a boom in abuse and neglect cases in our district. And look at the next number, 132 of the first numbers, 132 of 173 children were impacted by substance use. That's 76%. From the 2020-2021 year, 265 plus children impacted by substance use. Look at that increase in that year. So this is not going away. This is a problem we all have in our community that we need to be aware of and be working on. So just about our FARC data, which is our Family Accountability and Recovery Court, in 2019, you can see our numbers there in 2020, 21, our numbers there. So we did have an increase, which is what we've been trying to work on, of the folks that enter the FARC program. In 2019, we had 28%, and in 2021, we had 83%. So right now, we've been focused on just getting them there and getting them to come. And of course, we want to increase our graduation, our completion date, but we can't do that if we don't get them there to start with. So challenges in our community, I already alluded to it, the type of drugs we're dealing with. The meth and the opioids are huge problems. They just are, and people in our counties are still dying all the time from it. We went from a 6-panel to a 16-panel drug screen, and those just marijuana cases that we were identifying with the 6-panel, we found fentanyl, and the people didn't even know they were getting it. And that is real, and it's scary, because fentanyl is an extremely, extremely dangerous drug. Other housing problems that we have, treatment in our area, transportation, always a problem, always a problem. Transitional housing, especially for women, and then centralized services, which is we give these people 15 different places and things they're supposed to do, and they've got to figure all that out, and it's just about, sometimes I look at it and go, I couldn't make all that happen. And so we need to work on that. And I mentioned already data collection. Those are our challenges. We are operating a management committee right now. Any of y'all that would like to participate in that, feel free to call me. We are not, I haven't been selective about it. It's just people that have shown interest to me. So if you have any interest, I would love for you to come be on our committee. We meet once every 2 months. Right now we do by Zoom, and it is district-wide in all 3 counties. So here's the money. You can see back in 2011, I started out with that $30,000. Then a little while later, went back to East Point, kept working with them, and they entered into a $70,000 a year contract with me. I was able to hire an employee with that. That was the first case manager. All during this time, I was trying to make contacts and work on learning about grant writing, because I don't know anything about that. And y'all know, nobody has money for grant writers, right? So everybody's happy for you to do it, but you just have to do it, figure out how to do it yourself. All during those years, I was trying to figure that out. We got some money from participating in a project with Blue Cross Blue Shield, UNC School of Government. 2-year sort of one of those collaborative type projects where you have your group and you figure out how you bring in community players and all that. But they gave us $20,000 for doing it, so I was willing. The ABC board in Wayne County has been very generous with us over the years and given us funds to operate this program. I finally was able to I had already tried in 2013 to write for this particular grant, did not get it, resubmitted, kept working on it, made some contacts with grant writers that were able to help me, and we were received at the end of 2020 2 federal grants, one of $870,000 and the second one of $288,700 for over a 3-year period. Very exciting. And I remember when I found out, I was like, oh no, this is what you've been trying to get all this time. Now what are you going to do with it? And going, don't be careful what you ask for, right? So we got to work, and it's taken me some time, but I've gotten the staff, and we are up and running. We've got the rest of the funds you see right there are how we operate our program right now. So this is just some information about the 2 grants we got. They're federal grants. They are labor intensive, I'm going to tell you. You just have, it's been quite an education learning about that. We, one of the things that I know you guys know about is one of my partners in one of my grants is House of Hope. which is located out of Kinston. And I know that's with Chris Jenkins, and I know he's moving over here and wants to move over here and help you guys. And I know there's a house that he's working in on over here. We have had a great partnership with him, and he has one of his properties in Kinston that is now available, and we have the funds to house women who need somewhere to live on a transitional, temporary basis and don't have the money, but they're in by drug court. Other folks can live there, but if they're in my drug court, they get that opportunity to go there. And it's a beautiful property. If you get the chance to go to Kinston, you should go over there and look at it. It's amazing. It's an old house in downtown Kinston, old turn-of-the-century house, and it's just, I want to live there. So with our grants, we have to do evaluation and performance management, and all of that takes staff and time to do, which we now have, and that's going very well. These are what we hope to do in the future. We want to serve at least up to 25 participants a year. We'll be working on increasing that, and then, of course, increasing our graduation rates. And then the ultimate goal being to increase the parents and the children reunifying with each other. That's the goal. So we've been able to, for all those years before we got the grant and the state defunded us, we had no training. Training is very important to operate this program. Drugs are always changing. Drug testing is always changing. Mental health treatment is always changing. All of those kind of things. And so we have been able to do that as we have gotten the grant. We just got back from the National Association of Drug Court Professionals, which is a nationwide conference in D.C. It was amazing. They have all sorts of resources. And funny thing, the executive director of that national association, he's really into this. He was given the whole conference-wide, which had 4,000 people in it, comments, and he started talking about, funny, you were talking about pigs this morning. He said, I just want to tell y'all, we were trying to get a dog at my house, and my wife said, dog have to stay outside. And he said, well, I grew up, the dog stayed inside. I don't want the dog outside. And he said, now I want you to know, my wife grew up in Mount Olive, North Carolina, and there's not anything there but pigs and chickens, and the dogs stay outside. And that was his story. So I emailed him when I got home and said, I just want you to know I'm the chief district court judge in Wayne County, home of Mount Olive, North Carolina, and there are lots of pigs and chickens, and there are dogs that run around outside, and I want you to come see us when you come home, because this man has all kinds of national drug court contacts, and I think that he will be a good resource for us. But I thought that was funny to be in that great big place, and he's telling a Mount Olive story. These are just some photos. We graduated over here in Wayne County. This family, their kids get to come to their graduation. We do, as you can see, cake and clap and all those kind of things. We meet with them. I meet with them every 2 weeks. They come see me. I would love and welcome any of you that would have any interest. You're welcome to come observe our court. We meet first in staffing, and that's when the community players and the DSS and the treatment providers that you saw listed earlier, they come at 2. We sit around a table. We talk about how the folks have done in the previous 2 weeks. Have they gotten their drug testing? Have they gotten their treatment? And we look at if they're good, if the results are good or bad, and we talk about what ways we can improve their situation and make them accountable and help them realize whether they're going to make changes or not. And we reward positive outcomes. Then they come in about 3:15, they get drug tested, and then I meet with them in the courtroom. And they see me every 2 weeks like that. And this is just some folks that have been involved and who graduated from our program. This is the House of Hope over in Kinston. Y'all want to go have a cup of coffee on the front porch in a rocking chair, you can. A group of ladies. Before COVID, Chris had, men were in this home, and they basically just had some plain wooden twin beds in there, nothing in the room. So I mentioned this to a friend of mine, and she got together a group of about 15 ladies, and they descended on that place. And they had the best time, and this is what they did. He has an educational room there that we can do groups in, training, GED, vocational rehab. So, sustainability is an issue. If any of y'all have dealt with grants, they always want to know when the grant runs out in 3 years, what are you going to do to keep this program going? Well, I have continued to say, as I go to national conferences and things, I live in rural North Carolina. We don't have money like Wake County and Mecklenburg County and New Hanover County. We don't have, I can't come to my county commissioners and say, you guys pick up this $1.25 million program that I'm running, because it's just not there. And that has since 2013, I started talking about it. I have seen that emerging more and more and more as an issue that folks are recognizing on a national basis, which is important, because I think that we will be able to get help to continue our program. And I will keep working on that. But one of the most exciting things, and I don't want to say a lot about this right now, but I think it's an amazing opportunity for us, will be how we use the opioid crisis settlement money. That money can do all sorts of things for our community. And you guys are going to have to be responsible for it if it turns out the way they're planning it right now. And it has to be used for substance use issues, right? Like, that's part of the rules of it. So I just want you to keep that in mind. I'm going to be coming back to y'all talking about that, because, it's that in a rural area like ours is an opportunity that I didn't anticipate having. And I'm not going to stop working on grant writing. I'm still talking about it, still working on it. But that is a true gift. I hate to say that, because the way it got here doesn't seem like a gift, but it does give us the opportunity to help other people who may not go down the same path as some of those folks that led to it did. I want to mention I know y'all know the sheriff's program and everything that's going on about that. He is doing a phenomenal job. He got one of the same grants that I did, the COSAP grant. Right now, you guys are managing that grant. North County County Manager is managing my grants. So, somebody's got to take that money in. I don't have an organization to be able to take money in. But the sheriff is definitely, his program is cutting edge. It's something that is amazing that we're doing that right here in Wayne County. Everybody's not doing it. You will be hard pressed to find somebody doing that program that's not in Wake County, Mecklenburg County, New Hanover. And so I talk and brag about him being in my district all the time. He gets tired of hearing me say it probably, about what a good job they're doing with this program. It's got a lot of, they're learning. There are a lot of things we have to learn about as we put this in place, but it is amazing to see it work. And it's really a hop, skip, and a jump from what he's doing to going into that adult drug treatment court. So that is kind of what I wanted to say today. I don't know if you guys have any questions about anything. I would love to talk to you at any point about it. Love to have you come to any of our courts and see what we're doing. I can talk about it, but if you see it, I think you're going to get a whole lot better idea of what it's like and what it's about.
Yeah, Chief, I'd just like to say I commend you for what you're doing, and if the clerk has your contact information, you'll definitely be getting in contact.
She's got me.
I also want to make one point here. The decision by the state to cut your funding in 2011, that was strictly political,
Oh, yeah.
and I'm getting tired of seeing this. People that need the help aren't getting it because of political parties, Republican, Democrat, Libertarian, I don't care. We need to start thinking about the people and move forward from there.
It was an easy pot of money. That's what it was.
It was.
It was just, and it was identifiable. And here's another thing. Everybody didn't have it across the state, but the people that wanted it had it. If you didn't want it, nobody made you get it. But,
That's exactly
you know,
right.
so, but all that's okay. I used to get really upset about that. I'm not, now I'm on the path of, you know, we're going to figure something out
Judge Heath,
a
I'm
different
going to
way.
interrupt you for a second and say it's not okay.
Well, you know what I'm saying.
And the more I do this, the more I see this happening. And again, irregardless of party, it's going on. And the people in Wayne County, especially Goldsboro and surrounding areas, need the help you're getting. And if we as a commission board can do anything for you, we'll make sure you get it.
Don't you worry, I'm going to be asking y'all for letters of support and things like that. I'm really hoping we can do this, you know, without, I realize where y'all are with money. I could come in here and I could get Borden to help me. We could show you ways that keeping kids out of foster care saves you money. But in the big picture, I don't know if it's enough to actually fund the program. I don't know what the current numbers are. You may know more than me, but I don't know how many in Lenore County, we don't have but 2 or 3 foster families. And I have about 35 kids a month in foster care. It costs, in an in-county foster care placement, costs about $650 a child a month. Out of county foster care, where most of my kids are, cost about $1,650 a month. So you multiply all that up, and it's a lot of money. If we can keep them out of foster care because we're helping their parents stay well earlier and helping them with services, that's saving you county money. And someday we can come in here if we want to look at all those numbers, but it's just a big thing. We're chipping away at it. I'm excited about it. And I will be asking you, at the very least, I know, for letters of support about the program.
And again, I commend you for what you're doing. It's really worthwhile.
And thank you for coming. And we hate to rush you, but
No,
we're
you're
running
ready
way
to move
behind.
on.
We're running way behind on
I know
our
y'all
public
know
hearing.
I could talk forever about this.
And we ask you, Judge, keep bragging on our sheriff.
I will.
We're good.
You don't have to ask me that.
Mr. Chair, if you would like, we could go ahead and do the public hearing.
That's what we need to
Yes,
do.
sir.
Yes,
Yes, sir.
Okay, we need, we open the public hearing, up that, to receive public comments, requirements of the 2021 North Carolina Community Development Block Grant Program, as well as explanations of the regulations, eligibility, activities, and proposed use of the Cdbg. I think that we have
Mr. Harris.
Mr. Dave Harris.
with Dave here, and also we can. I don't think we have to act on this after we have the public hearing. David.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It's been a while since I've been to the board and talked about grant programs, so I'm glad to be back. The purpose of the public hearing this morning is to simply review the categories of funding for the state's Community Development Block Grant Program. It's actual federal money that the state receives. The allocation for 2021 is going to be about $40-some million. That's broken down by the majority of it, $20-25 million, goes to Division of Water Infrastructure for water and sewer. About $10 million stays in commerce is money, all of which comes directly to the Department of Commerce. Approximately $10 million stays in commerce to be spent for what's called the Neighborhood Revitalization Program. And then there's around $8 million or so that is set aside for economic development projects that could come about at any time during the funding year. Based on the recent citizens' request and commissioners' comments, there has been an identified need for drainage improvements in Wayne County, particularly within the Rollingwood community. We have looked at in fact, the guidelines for the program just came out a little over a month ago. The Cdbg NR, Neighborhood Revitalization Program, could be used for that project. I want to go into a little bit of detail about how that Neighborhood Revitalization Program works. It is actually a housing program. And in fact, years ago, the county would receive an allocation every 3 years for scattered site housing, where you can make housing improvements across the county. The state ended that in 2012. And then a few years ago, it came back with the Neighborhood Revitalization Program, where you can do those same housing improvements. What they did, though, was added from the old Community Revitalization Program public improvements that you could combine with housing. So it's a housing-oriented program, but if these houses are concentrated in a particular area and there are water, sewer, street, or drainage needs, then you can use the funds for both the housing improvements and also for the public improvements. Within the area of the Rollingwood community, of course, there's a drainage problem due to that it's about a 900 to 1,000 feet of a drainage easement area, and the fact that the culvert under Old Mount Island Highway is just too small. But the drainage area has grown up significantly in the last number of years. There's just almost no drainage at all. And of course, there are a number of houses that abut that drainage easement. What we've done, we've gone to each one of those households and started what's called the Cdbg survey process to gather information on the household. Since it is federal funding, it is targeted to low, moderate income people. So a certain percentage of all the households would have to meet the HUD, low, moderate income requirements. We've determined they do. There would need to be a significant amount of housing needs. In other words, you can't have, say, 12 houses in an area that you want to make drainage needs, and only 2 of them need repairs. In this case, 100% of them can use some level of repairs, anywhere from, well, it's kind of hard to say a minor housing repair now because anything's going to cost a significant amount of money, but from moderate repairs right up to severe and replacement. Some of the houses are just literally beyond repair and would need to be replaced. And this program would do all of that. It is limited to owner-occupied structures in terms of receiving housing assistance, and also the families that meet the low, moderate income requirements. Out of the 13 households that abut that drainage area, 10 of them meet the low, moderate income requirement. And of course, out of those, there are a few of those that are tenant that we take out. So there's about 7 or 8 households that fit the program requirements, all of which have, all the houses, of course, suffer from drainage problems that are abutting that drainage area. And it does, from the survey work and also review the guidelines, that particular project would be eligible for funding. Can it get funded? It just depends on the competition. Every county and all of the towns under 50,000 in North Carolina can apply for this $10 million. and it is an extremely competitive process. But at least in our initial review, it's an eligible project. They're eligible activities. The numbers fall within what would be a fundable range. In other words, it's a strong type project. It just depends on the other ones. The maximum grant amount is $750,000. So do the math. Well, when you have 10 million, there may be 15 projects or less that are actually funded for the whole state of North Carolina. But at least there is an opportunity, and the county wants to take advantage of that opportunity, then of course it can submit an application for that program. I point out the characteristics of the program in light of the Rolling Wind project. However, the purpose of the public hearing is anybody can make recommendations for community development funding, whether it's housing or whether it's another neighborhood or anything else. And then, of course, the final decision would be with the board. Applications for this particular category of funding is October 14th. And if we wanted to consider a specific project, we would need to have a second public hearing at the first meeting in October in order to put that together and submit to the North Carolina Department of Commerce. Glad to answer any questions, or if anybody has any other
I
comments.
think first with the need to, is there anyone wishes to speak at this public hearing? And if
Signed up, sir.
there's none signed up?
No, sir.
Okay, all right.
Mr. Chairman, I did have a question. Have you got any estimate of cost on the drainage?
No.
Okay, so we haven't got any estimates on that.
I had a chance to get with an engineer to take a look at it.
But if we applied for it, you would have to put a specific amount in there,
Yes.
would you not?
If you applied, it's a $750,000 project.
Okay.
You're going to ask for the maximum amount, and then it's going to be a matter of whatever the budget is for the drainage, that's going to be fixed, and then whatever's left over for housing, you'll do as many houses as there is money.
Well, and that's my question. You're talking about 10 million for the entire state. Very, very competitive. Would it not be to our advantage maybe to get some type of an idea of its estimated cost, and if that was in the $200,000 to $300,000 range, that we apply for that versus going for the $750,000? Just a question.
You wouldn't be able to apply for drainage only.
You would not?
No, it's a housing program.
Okay, so you have to apply for this. Okay.
If you're going to address a public improvement, you're going to address housing, and more than half the project has to be housing improvement.
Okay, all right.
And when you, Mr. Harrison, there's no doubt that I'm sorry, Commissioner Williams, we need to move forward with this. I mean, we have the need, make the application, let's sit the next public hearing.
Yeah, and I agree with you.
Mr. Williams?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Overall, when you were out there surveying area and talking with the citizens, you observed that there was more than just the drainage issues in regard to people's homes, correct? So it makes common sense to go ahead and submit it. Thank you.
Yeah, let's not waste any time.
Any other questions for Ms. Harris? And we had no one that signed up to speak, so I declare the public hearing closed.
Okay, so we'll need to put this on the agenda for the next agenda, Mr. Parker.
We have
Need to vote, have him make the application and then to set a public hearing that he just mentioned.
I'd like to make a motion that we allow Mr. Harris to submit the application for the grant.
For the Rolling Wood Community?
Yes, Rolling Wood grant.
Yes, sir.
And to have the public hearing that he mentioned.
And to have the public hearing October 14th.
Board meeting.
Can you?
October 14th.
You got to have it's got to be submitted by October 14th.
It'll be the first meeting in October.
5th, October 5th is our
October
first.
what?
October 5th.
First meeting in October.
And to have
Public hearing.
October
On that
5th
project, yes, sir.
on the project, the Rolling Wood project.
Can you word that, Mr. Parker, so we can, if the board wishes to act on it?
Yeah, I think what Commissioner Williams said is just right, to authorize him to apply for the Rollingwood community and to have the public hearing at 9:30 on October 5th.
Did you get that, Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir.
And you got, that's more of a motion?
Yes, sir.
I
Thank
have a
you.
motion on the floor. Is any other discussion? If none, all in favor show sign of right hand. All opposed?
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you, Mr. Harris.
Thank you, Mr. Harris.
Mr. Chair, the appointment committee would be,
I'm getting there.
oh, I'm sorry.
Appointment committee, Mr. Gurley.
Yes, sir. Appointment committee met this morning, and we made the following recommendations. To appoint Chris Fulton to the Wayne County Animal Control Advisory Committee to replace the seat presently held by Mr. James Jimmy Brown. That's the form of a motion.
I have a motion on the floor. Any discussion? All in favor show sign of right hand. All opposed?
Also,
Hold on, let Carol catch up.
Okay.
we wish to reappoint the following to the Wayne County Latino Council in staggered terms. Sheriff Larry Pierce for August, Jonathan Chavez, September, and Haiti Cotto, September, and that's in form of a motion.
I have a motion on the floor. Any discussion? If no discussion, all in favor show sign of right hand. All opposed? Okay.
You ready?
Yep.
Also, we had a letter of resignation from Mr. Efton Sager from the ABC Board, and the appointment committee, which is to appoint Bill Pate to serve the unexpired term of Mr. Efton Sager to 2023. That's in form of a motion.
I have a motion on the floor. Any discussion?
Yes.
Yeah, I got,
Oh, go ahead first, sir.
I'm in favor of Mr. Pate, but my question is what changed from 2 weeks ago? When I was told that we had younger people to put on that board. I'm just curious.
You asking me?
Yep.
We were asked by the ABC Board to appoint Bill Pate to his unexpired term, which was the first part. That was the last time we were talking about this. After Sager was supposed to resign, or was asked, he would make comment that he was going to resign, but we've then it was put off on Pam Silver, and we reappointed Pam Silver to that position, and now we have Efton Sager has put in a resignation due to family issues, which I'm sure you're aware of, and we're recommending Bill Pate. And we do have some younger people that have applied.
Any other discussion?
Yes. Once again, that's my problem that I have with this. I sit on the board. Last time we had the issue with Ms. Silver, and we were going to replace somebody. We talked about putting somebody new on. The lack of diversity on this board, the lack of political diversity on this board also. I think we keep doing the same old thing. We keep putting the same old people on these boards, and we keep getting the same results. We had 2 younger people apply, one officer, one a previous supervisor at the ABC board. I think both would be pretty knowledgeable in helping that board bring about some change and some different things. And, we're taking a recommendation from them that, I just don't understand why. What are we here for? What are we voting for as a board? What are we doing? If we're not going to do anything different, we're not going to try to change things to make things any better. It's just we continue to do the same old thing. So I have a problem with Mr. Bill Pate going up there. No problem against him personally, but just the problem with the board's lack of diversity, lack of political diversity. We have issues around this county, and we need to start addressing them. you know, we have to do something different. We all claimed that that's what we were going to do when we were running, and to sit here and be fair and be impartial. But it's like we're not. You know, we do what our friends want us to do, what our buddies and everything else, and what our party affiliation tells us to do. And that's a problem.
Any other discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chair. I actually sat in on that particular appointment committee meeting, and I too agree that we should have some fresh eyes there. I think that when you look at our ABC stores, there's a lot that they're behind in, and that's based on the fact that you've had the same individuals there consistently. You know, I think, you know, our job is to make sure that we're having good sales, we're having different options for people who do visit those particular stores. And when you have the same people in there and you're not giving others the opportunity that are capable, that shows that we're not doing our job. I believe we should have, if there's an individual that had been a manager there, I think they are equipped to do a good job there on that board. So I would ask this board reconsider and think about that individual. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Any other discussion? I have a motion. We got to act on the motion, correct?
Yes.
I have a motion on the floor from the appointment committee to appoint Bill Pate to the unexpired time of Mr. Eflin Sagler. If no other discussion, all in favor of motion, show sign of right hand. All opposed? Do you get the count, madam? Yes, sir. Okay.
All right, also we have a reappointment of Barbara Aycock to the Wayne County Jury Commission, and that is in form of a motion.
That, any discussion?
Yes.
Yes.
This is to our county attorney. Will this in any way be problematic based on the fact that she is a county commissioner to serve on that board?
No, sir.
Thank you.
And she was serving on that board before she became a county commissioner. Okay, I have any other discussion? Have a motion on the floor from the appointment committee. All in favor of reappointing Ms. Barbara Aycock, show sign of right hand. Thank you.
Yeah, that's all we got.
Is that all?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Back to unfinished business.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Honeycutt.
Number one, we do have an update on COVID-19 testing and vaccines. We do have Dr. James Stackhouse here, our health director, Dr. Brenda Wise, and our director of public affairs, Joe Gilly. So we appreciate y'all being here and waiting. Thank you.
Let's see, where'd our clicker go? Good morning, gentlemen. I appreciate the chance to talk. I'll be very quick. Dr. Weiss is here. Wasn't sure she was going to be able to come this morning on time due to some commitments. A couple of things. Number one, there is a dollar sign or two in this presentation, so we'll discuss that when we get there. Number two is that whatever you know is that 2 doses of vaccine are still very effective in reducing the incidence of serious disease. The virus is changing. It can infect people who have had the vaccine. Those people are unlikely to have serious disease, and we still promote the vaccine. As you hear a lot of discussion about third doses and booster, the first two are still very important. Sensitive little sucker, isn't it? What I pushed, dear?
Click on anything on the screen, it should go off.
All right. The health department is vaccinated, and in the county, with the health department and with other resources, about 52,000 people have been fully vaccinated. That puts us at about 42%. The number there for the state is incorrect. The state average is 62%. We are currently seeing a surge in active cases in Wayne County with numbers exceeding 70 to 80 per day when you average them over the week. So you'll see spikes in lower areas, but they average out to 70 to 80 per day. We've had now almost 290 deaths from COVID in Wayne County since this started in March, and we've seen a surge in deaths recently as well. Again, 9 out of 10 of those people who are dying in the past 2 months were unvaccinated, and we can't stress that enough.
You say 9 out of 10?
9 out of 10 were unvaccinated. The county data shows you in this area, the darker the better. Wayne County is not in the bottom 25%, but we're close when it comes to percentages of people who have been vaccinated. If you look at our positive cases, the top graph and the scales on the left side are not equivalent. So please note that back in December of 2020, we were averaging 70 or more cases per day. By the bottom graph, by June, we were down in the single digits of new cases per day. And then the Delta mutant sort of showed up in our county. It's much more infectious. It's much more easily transmitted. It's much more likely to infect people who have had the vaccine. And as a result, you'll see that in the end of August and going now into September, we're averaging as many new cases per day as we were in February of this year, earlier on. This has put a toll on our hospital, which, of course, like every other organization, is having manpower issues, nursing availability issues. Over the past month, the number of positives in-house has increased at Wayne, up over 40 at some times. They're down to about 30 now, which was projected as we had watched this surge. That's all right, I hate this thing. And we're going this way. UNC Wayne posts this frequently to show you exactly what I told you, that when they had 30-some people, 29 people in the hospital one day last week, none of the vaccinated people occupied the 4 beds in the ICU. None of them were on ventilators. And only 3 people in the hospital had actually been fully vaccinated, actually vaccinated at all, 1 dose or more. So for the health department, there have been a lot of challenges lately in terms of providing vaccine. We had the 37,000 doses to date, even though we're pushing and we're on the state's target for getting more out. Because of that, we were told to participate in a gift card program during the July and August days, when a person with the first vaccine could get $100 worth of gift cards, and anybody who drove anyone in to get a vaccine would get a $25 card. We had several entrepreneurs out there doing a good bit of driving, and we did have a surge in our vaccines. Unfortunately, that exceeded our capacity to provide safe services. On several days, we exceeded our 120 capacity, which is a mixture of where we can have people wait safely, how we can transport them, and we have several hundred other employees that are exposed to these people in our building. We have to register them, we have to vaccinate them, and we have to observe them for 15 minutes, all with social distancing. That was a challenge. We were unsafe, and in August, we were already looking at having to find a different facility to provide these services. And this year, as opposed to last year, we were given a break. The state said, we know you can't do some of your regular services, step back a little bit. That's not an option this year for us. We have to maintain our services despite the same problems we have with employees missing and people that our staff is down. So putting this into perspective, it's a challenge for us. So then 3rd doses started being talked about. In August 17th, the FDA and CDC decided that a 3rd dose, which they called a booster, and we make that distinction, was necessary and available and should be made available to people who had an inability to react well to the vaccine initially. These are people who had immunocompromised states. They were people who may be on chemotherapy, they're on drugs for lupus or rheumatoid arthritis, and their vaccine just didn't take as well. They estimate that's about 3% of people, which in Wayne County would be anywhere between 3,000 and 4,000 people who should be eligible for that third dose. We advertised, we started doing it. That caused part of our uptake in the volume that we had to experience. And then August 23rd, the White House announced that we were going to have third doses. Now, if the science had not been reviewed yet, the purpose of announcing this I'll leave to you all. But suddenly I contemplated the fact that 20,000 people would be eligible for a dose at 6 months in Wayne County, and they'd be looking to the health department to do that. We started looking at that time for where we could go, how we could improve our services, how we could meet the demand. August and September 17th, last week, finally the FDA met and considered the evidence that had been produced from studies. A lot of debate about it, and finally the decision by half the decision, the partway decision, because now the CDC has to agree in order for us to use this vaccine, and what's called the Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices has to meet. They won't meet until Wednesday. But the initial recommendation from the CDC was consideration of a third dose at 6 months for people who got Pfizer. The data on Moderna has not yet been reviewed. It'll be reviewed in 2 or 3 weeks, and then we'll have the same process of evaluation and recommendation. But still, that lessened it a little bit. But even today, if that is approved, we'll be talking about 8,000 people next Monday who will be looking for a shot in Wayne County. I'm going the wrong way and touching the wrong button. So back to show you what the numbers are, back in the first column, I estimated just from who we delivered vaccine to that we know from our database. And I increased it because we didn't give all of the vaccines. Obviously, the hospital, the pharmacies, and others gave some of these vaccines as well. But looking at an 8-month dose and saying they were going to authorize it, we knew that by the end of October, there were going to be about 3,000 people who would be eligible for a shot. The state came out with data about a week ago, churning the same numbers, came out very close to the numbers that we had. And again, that's at 8 months. And remember now, it's being pushed forward 6 months. So people that we scheduled thought would be showing up September, October, and November are going to be showing up in October. All right, and then it gets a little worse. On September 9th, Biden's COVID action plan came out, and this discussed COVID testing and obligations and efforts for COVID testing. We began searching for an alternate site to vaccinate and test the community. Initially, going back to the Busman building was not an option because of pending sale. So we were looking at having to do 1,200 to 1,400 doses per day and looking for certain space to do it. The bottom part of the graph shows you some of our considerations that include parking, security, safety, shirt sleeve environment, internet access, and other things, including support from physical plant and maintenance have to be arranged. We've already looked at several places. The old Food Lion store in Little River Square was certainly a usable place. It was much larger than we needed, and the agent that we talked with was talking big dollars. It's my understanding that maybe that's negotiable at this point. That's what I hear through the rumor of all of our emails. Sears was not available. The dealership across from Little River Square was not available. We looked at Ollie's as some empty buildings in that area. They are in disrepair, would require a lot of work, mold growing on the floor, and parking was not quite adequate. We're still searching. We have 3 other sites in mind, but we do have the backup for the fairgrounds if needed. But again, that's very suboptimal for our needs. We're talking about a population that needs, remember, these are the people that stood out in the cold in February. They're over 65. They have significant disabilities. Moving around from a parking area in the fairgrounds is not the best option. Meanwhile, busman was available. We moved in last week. Adam Wolf has been our incident commander on site and doing all of the logistics and scheduling and basically taking care of all the things that I didn't have time to do as a part-time employee and with my other duties. We're having to arrange staffing for security, traffic control, observation involving EMS and other services. We have administration available with community health workers hired through United Way and a contract. Maintenance and physical plant is doing a great job of providing services at Busman. Other things we're going to need to do, obviously, is get staff assistance from the state for surge staff. We'll be reopening the call center to permit equitable access for those unable to access our appointment schedule online. We'll utilize our available text and email information to get the information out to the people that we vaccinated at least, to try to prevent some of the confusion about 6 versus 8 and Pfizer versus Moderna until that becomes a more homogenized recommendation. And we're really waiting for the shoe to drop on Wednesday before we know exactly what we're going to be facing when the ACIP and CDC meet. The last chapter has to do with COVID testing in the county, part of that Biden's point plan of maintaining established executive orders that have yet to be reviewed and go through appropriate OSHA and other processes. But it included testing of people on a regular basis with or without symptoms. Currently, we only have the ability to test our county employees. The demand is out there. We get phone calls every day in the dozens of angry people and folks looking for a test. I know of a person who tried to find a rapid test through Walgreens this weekend, and the nearest site was in Virginia. You could get PCR testing, but that doesn't do much for a lot of these folks. It is possible for us to start doing some rapid testing if at Busman, and that's a consideration for future sites as well. But we can't really be a resource for weekly testing by employers and schools. We also really need to focus on what we do as a health department. We should be testing people who have been exposed and people who are symptomatic. And when we're testing them, they need to be told, you gotta quarantine yourself. Or if you've been vaccinated, wear a mask everywhere you go until we get that result back for the next 3 or 4 days. Testing for travel and that sort of thing is well beyond our capability. We have multiple challenges still. We're providing proof of negative results to participants on a timely basis. We have HIPAA and other considerations that are involved in that. And if we do drive-through testing, we really would not like to have these people come into an area where well people are being treated. Well, that'll be a consideration for the future. Again, understand this is going to be a marathon. This virus is going to be around in one form or another for years. Vaccines work, but they work differently for different viruses. You know, some vaccines are only good for a year. Flu, the virus changes. Polio, it takes 3 doses to get a lifetime immunity. All these things are considerations and still unknowns about COVID. We have a challenge for getting information out to the public on the 6 versus 8, Pfizer versus Moderna, and we don't want to have to be turning half the people away who show up because we can't give them a shot yet. Children's doses are on the horizon. We don't know what the demand will be or what the recommendation will be. And there are actually issues at the moment with vaccine availability, as the state is still serving as a central distributor by telling these vaccine producers when and how to send us vaccine. So there'll be, when we have a big push in the next few weeks, there are a lot of uncertainties that we're trying to prepare to deal with. And I thank you, and we'll be glad to answer any questions.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Dr. Stackhouse, thank you for coming and, letting us know, letting the community know that this is a serious issue. My question is, I know overall you've been trying to find a location so we can administer vaccinations. Have we considered the Maxwell Center? Because there's adequate parking there, there's Wi-Fi there, and it wouldn't cost us anything other than the maintenance and the staff. Have we considered
the issue with the Maxwell Center is that it is overscheduled for the future at the moment. It's very successful in what it does, and we would not be able, we would interfere with scheduled and planned events at this point. That's my understanding from.
It is. We originally looked at the Maxwell Center for the first testing that we did do, but we do have a lot of contracts there now. That's why we were trying to look at another option other than the Maxwell Center at this point. Yes, sir.
Anyone else?
Dr. Stackhouse.
Yes, sir.
Commend you for what you're doing, and this may be a question better for Dr. Weiss. With all the COVID testing going on, how about the other folks coming in with different types of sicknesses? Are we able to take care of those?
We are back to our normal service level. We are down 25 plus individuals in a crew of about 120. So we're 25% underserved in terms of our people. Our flu vaccines are scheduled appointments out to October 14th already. That's the demand. Communicable disease, we've had to cut back significantly to about 2 days a week to have availability. We are short at least 8 nurses, RNs at this time. We advertised, we scavenged, we even, if anybody's leaving the hospital because of the shot demand right now, we're looking for them, we're recruiting. But it is difficult, and just like a lot of other county situations, we train people and they move on somewhere. There's going to be a reconciliation of value to employees somewhere in the future for healthcare, I think.
I think with the nursing situation, you have a lot of nurses leaving because they can make more money as travelers now.
Oh, yeah, that's a problem for the hospital. I know there are nurses who are being offered $250 an hour for $30 a week, to come to somewhere in Phoenix, Arizona. Yeah.
So we have the same problem at the hospital right now.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, if I remember on the slide, you were saying that October the 1st, you may have the availability of the rapid test. Is that correct?
No, we have, a couple of things. Number one, I did mention is that my understanding is we have to be out of the Busman building the 1st of November now because of changes in negotiations. That may be iffy, but that puts a little more pressure on us to get things done.
We're still working on that. We asked for December 1st, but it may be a little bit quicker, but we're going to try to negotiate that.
We do have, at this point, we have about 6,000 rapid tests that we have in our possession. 4,000 of them expire at the end of next week.
Ooh.
Yeah, we don't have a budget to acquire them. If they're available from the state, we get them.
Here's lying some problems. The demand on our health department is so great, it's almost unmanageable. And it's going to get worse, in my opinion, in that now that children are, if they are in an environment where in their classroom they have exposure, they're going to be sent home and they can't come back until they get a test, a negative test. Now, where are they going to get these tests?
If they've got a mask on, they don't have to go home. If they're in like the cafeteria, they got to go home.
Well, there's going to be more demand from school children, is what I'm saying, as well as employers.
Yeah.
So the demand for tests are going to be greater. That's not going to taper off. It's going to go up. So someone's going to have to provide these. If CVS and Walgreens are not providing them, I'm afraid to tell you this, but it's going to really come down to our health department. So we are going to have to develop some plan to provide the testing. Now, I realize we don't even have the staff for that, but maybe we can look at temporary staffing or temporary agencies or something. I hope that we would at least explore some of those options.
Well, the first thing is that you don't have to come to the health department to test. If you're an employer or you're a family, you can purchase tests. And part of the plan, of the Biden plan, was to drive down the cost of those tests to something reasonable. If they're available, you can buy packets of 3 tests, rapid tests for your own use for $45 right now, that sort of thing. But don't think that every test has got to be done by a licensed health facility.
Well, that's
an
good
employer with his nurse could do the test.
So in other words, employers or the school system could actually have the test available, could they not?
And they are. And
They
they're
are.
doing it.
Okay, all right, well, good, then that's
They
good
want
to
a lot
hear.
more.
That takes a lot of pressure off of
They
us.
would like a lot more help, but they have been doing it.
And one of the big things that's required right now is that proof of negative result.
Right.
And so that's why if the school's doing it on their own, they can see the negative result. But if we're doing it, we have to have something official to give them. So that's why the health department's that's what we're working on now, is that process of how do we streamline that? Because there's going to be a demand for the negative result, not just us showing you, or calling you and saying you have a negative. We have to have that physical.
Well, not only that, but if I recall, the requirements were either get vaccinated or a weekly test. Am I correct? Now, there's some question of whether or not they're implementing that, but from my understanding, it's either a vaccination card, proof of vaccination, or you're going to have tests on a weekly basis. So I just see that there is going to be an uptick in need. So we need to plan for that in some way. And thank you for all you do. It is a thankless job, but you have rose to the occasion and have done a great job.
That you as the health department, that's the most dedicated group of people I have ever had the pleasure of working with.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. I got one question on the, you said there's 4,000 tests that are going, and what's the lifespan?
That will expire, that are not considered safe to use. Yeah.
Okay. And the next thing is on the children that are of eligibility now. Where, I mean, that's a different dose, or is that the same dose?
The data I've seen coming out of both of Moderna, primarily on children, is anywhere from a half to a third of the dose. I think children's dosing is going to be incredibly more controversial. When you look at children as a reservoir of passing the disease back and forth like you have, it's important. When you look at the individual child's risk of death from COVID currently, it is minuscule. I mean, they are safer. They are more danger riding a school bus in this country than they are getting COVID. And so, this vote of it was actually a 16-2 vote against giving everybody a third dose right now. There's the science and the demand and the public perception are separating a good bit at this point.
Did we have on the third shots? Did the health department get all 3 of the different brands, or you just got the Moderna? Or
we do not have enough Moderna, and there's probably not enough available in the state to match Moderna people in the past. During the summer, when we were doing second doses and running short, we were allowed to cross over into those vaccines by the state and by the authorization. As much as possible, we'd like to stick with it. This first 8,000 people that we're going to do, a huge number of them were done by hospital and medical groups that may be eligible, and they did get Pfizer. But one of the issues with vaccine distribution is still, once you open a vial, it's dead in 6 or 8 hours. The vials have 10 doses or 7 doses. Your wastage goes up incredibly. Until we're at the point of providing for small single-dose vials, that's going to be a continued problem of wastage, and it makes small providers, pharmacies, and others avoid the process.
And I know I've worried you over the weekend, different times calling
I
you.
appreciate every phone call I've gotten. The man doesn't sleep, as far as I can tell.
Well, the other thing we had talked about is the possibility of some type of app on the next go-round as far as testing. Is that something still in the works, or?
Well, that's what the health department's looking at right now for that negative test.
We have, the app for negative test is an issue right now. You're working on text capability, which would be useful. We can use that now to tell people they're not quite eligible yet from our database. And we've always had email possibilities. We'll be utilizing those to try to tone down the demand that's not yet approved.
Okay.
My stuff is not nearly as long as Dr. Stackhouse. The only thing I just wanted to provide a quick update on is for anyone who maybe doesn't know where they can get a vaccine at. I think by this point most people do, but I just wanted to go ahead and lay that out. WayneGov.com. It's right at the top of our page. You can click that link. We also have a hot link set up where you can go to just WayneGov.com/vaccine, and any appointment that we have available is on that. I stay in touch with Adam daily to open up slots as we have availability. Same way would be for testing as well. So once we open up testing more, that will be there as well. For the booster information, we are going to be utilizing text messaging and email updates for everyone who has already received their dose through us. So we have that information already through the state system. So we'll be able to reach out to people and let them know, hey, now you're eligible, click this link to schedule your appointment. We're trying to make that user experience as easy as possible, work around everybody's schedules so that they can just go on and make an appointment when they want to. Again, the testing information right now, we're only doing employees, but we are looking at how we can expand that testing. We do have a link already set up, WayneGov.com/testing. So right now, if there's no appointments available through us, there's a link to the state website that'll tell you where else you can get a test around us right now. Again, just want to make it as easy as possible for people. Did want to talk a little bit about our COVID connection call. Want to thank the vice chairman for being a part of that. It's something, we kind of have a task force within the county. Like you said, there's a lot of people working on this, and we had done these meetings, back when COVID was ramping up the first time, and once it started dropping, we stopped doing them. Now we've picked these meetings back up, and we're inviting members of the public to listen in so they can hear what we're talking about and the changes that are going on. It involves most of the county staff that are involved in vaccine, as well as all of our community partners, the hospital, the Air Force Base, the school system, municipalities, pretty much any community partner, United Way, that we have as a part of this call to kind of give an operational update on what they have going on. So that next call is actually going to be this Thursday with all the changes that have gone on with the third dose, the booster dose. We moved that call up a little bit. It's Thursday at 4 o'clock. And we'll have that shared on our social media, but you can also check that out on the county's YouTube channel as well. And that's all I've got. Any questions?
No, Joe, thank you for everything you're doing, Joe.
And I do want to thank Joel. We are really trying to move our communication and notification into the 21st century and making sure that we're using all the assets that we have to try to get the word out. And I really do appreciate our community partners stepping up and doing these COVID calls as well. They're very beneficial. I think I sent a link to the board as well of the last one that we had. But make sure that we'll send you the link also if you would like to listen and participate on the one on Thursday.
Absolutely. Thank y'all so much.
Thank you.
Another question for Dr. Stackhouse. The doses that you're giving out now, Is that part of the first and second? Have you started the third?
We have the booster shot, the shot
Okay.
for immune compromised people has been going on for 4 to 5 weeks now. Yes, sir. And those are anybody who is 4 weeks after their second shot who meets that immunocompromised definition is eligible for that booster. That answer your question?
Yeah, kind of.
Kind of? How can I clear it up?
Well, I mean, I fell in the age group that got the shots first.
Yeah.
And I was just wondering,
Yeah, age is not one of the factors, unfortunately, or fortunately, I guess. But about 3% of people are on chemotherapy, have diseases like lymphoma, or are taking medicines that really make their own immune system not destroy their own body because of the medical problem. And those are the folks we target.
Well, that's who you need to target.
Yes, sir.
Jim, maybe you should mention what FDA is thinking of approving with the boosters. I think that's what the commissioner's getting at. Like, what is the next tier that would receive a booster after? I think that's what he's asking.
Oh, well, currently, all right, for the third shot, not the booster, the third shot, the recommendation that is halfway through the process is for people over 65, people who are in essential services such as healthcare and others who may be more exposed, and people who have chronic diseases that would be most affected by COVID, particularly lung disease, chronic lung disease.
And that'll likely get approved this week.
Okay.
That's the
So
answer.
that'll be everyone over 65, and if you work in any occupation that's deemed hazardous, that could be a restaurant worker, I mean, it's people exposed to the public, so that group could be quite big.
Yeah, but again, that's everybody we vaccinated in the first 2.5 months of
Correct.
initial process.
But children-wise, you're not doing children yet.
Children are not approved except down to age 12 for Pfizer. The Pfizer commercial vaccine was only approved down to children 16 and older because of the data.
But FDA is looking at a 5 to 11, and they expect within the next 2 to 3 weeks, 5 to 11 will be approved for Pfizer at a lower dose.
I'm talking greater than 12 years old is what I was talking about.
I'm sorry.
Greater than 12 years old?
Pfizer is approved for any child over 12.
Yeah. It'll go down
12 and
to
older,
5.
but it'll go down, we anticipate that'll go down to 5.
But you're not giving that shot at the present time?
Not at the present time,
Not
yes, sir.
present.
We're not authorized. All right, sir, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
we have a critical need of nurses at our health department, and I'm going to ask our health director to come in and speak to that and maybe put in a plug so that anyone out there in the listening audience as listening to us will reach out to anyone they may know to actually apply for any of those positions. I do not know the numbers, but if you'd come to the microphone and kind of give us an update in regards to how desperate our needs are. I believe we have a 45% shortage in our nursings. So if you'd kind of address that, I'd appreciate it, Mr. Chairman.
So I don't have the exact numbers, but I do have approximate. So our communicable disease branch, for instance, has 6 nurses, of which all are vacant, every one of them. And communicable disease is COVID, right? So what's happening is the nurses in maternal health, family planning have to then fill in for those communicable disease nurses. And it's not just COVID, it's TB and influenza, it's everything, right? So that's just one area. Maternal family planning probably has 3 or 4 more nursing vacancies. Every program has vacancies. We're having a very hard time retaining and recruiting. I think the new building will help with that a lot. I think we may get some applicants from the healthcare system that don't want to get vaccinated because we're not requiring vaccines. But it's kind of a wait and see. We're doing the best we can. We recruit at the schools, Indeed, the website, everywhere we can. It's really about, there's such a high national, state, and local demand, we can't compete. We just can't compete. And so they have to decide they like our culture, they like the benefits, they like this county, and that's what they're going to choose. They're going to take the job not for the money, they're going to take it for the people and the work, because their heart's in it and because they feel it's the right thing to do. And that's what we're trying to push, those buttons, like the hearts and minds buttons. But we have probably 12 nursing vacancies at least.
Great. So anybody that's out there that knows of any nurses that's looking for any position, we certainly do need the help.
And they're great, the nurses are very, very tight, they're very collegial, they're very supportive of one another. It's a great culture.
Right.
They just have to be willing to accept the rest of it, so. And I think the new building will go a long way. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Anyone else? Thank y'all.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Next, under unfinished business is, I'm sorry, motion to adopt resolution 2021-28, a resolution by the County of Wayne approving the memorandum of agreement between the state of North Carolina and local governments on proceeds relating to the settlement of the opioid litigation. And, Mr. Chairman, I'll read just the last whereas of the resolution. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Wayne County hereby approves the memorandum of agreement between the state of North Carolina and local governments on proceeds relating to the settlement of opioid litigations and any subsequent settlement funds that may come into North Carolina as a result of the opioid crisis. Furthermore, Wayne County authorizes the county manager or county attorney to take such measures as necessary to comply with terms of the MOA and receive any settlement funds, including executing any documents related to the allocation of opioid settlement funds and settlement of lawsuits related to this matter. Be it further resolved, copies of this resolution and signed MOA will be sent to the state as well as to the North Carolina Association of County Commissioners. I do want to mention also that there was a 5% bonus for counties where municipalities, if the county had a municipality over 30,000, that they approved a resolution as well, and Goldsboro did approve their resolution last night.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we adopt resolution 2021-28.
I have a motion on the floor. Any discussion? If no discussion, all in favor show sign of right hand. All opposed? Number 3.
And next, under unfinished business, motion to approve the funding agreement between the Wayne County Board of Commissioners and the Wayne County Board of Education to accommodate the North Carolina Lottery Grant and to formalize the agreement to fund the Fremont Elementary School. And this has been approved by the Board of Education at their last meeting.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make the motion to approve the funding agreement between the Wayne County Board of Commissioners and the Wayne County Board of Education to accommodate the North Carolina Lottery Grant and formalize the agreement to fund the Fremont Elementary School.
I have a motion on the floor. Any discussion? If none, all in favor show sign of right hand. Any opposed?
Then next, we'll go to our consent agenda that we went over during our pre-agenda discussion, and we will present that to you for your approval.
Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So move.
I have a motion on the floor that we approve the consent agenda. Any discussion? All in favor show sign of right hand. Any opposed? Okay, move on to new business.
New business, number one is a resolution, motion to adopt resolution 2021-27, a resolution of support of request funding to install Seymour Johnson Air Force Base truck entrance guidance signage. And again, this is a joint resolution working with the city and DOT to better recognize the truck route for Seymour Johnson and try to release some of the pressure off of Berkeley. And this is no cost to the county.
Do I have a motion?
So move.
I have a motion on the floor. Any discussion? I think the purpose in this is the signage is very small for the trucks, and they rely a lot on GPS, and I think this is probably going to play into it also, because just keep in mind that is a military installation, and we do not know what's going in and out of there. And I think this will be great for the citizens and the safety of the citizens of Wayne County. Anyone else? All in favor, show sign of right hand. All opposed? Motion carries.
And then number 2 under new business, motion to award request for bid replacement of a 350 kilowatt generator to Wayne Electric, the lowest responsible bidder. And again, this is replacing the generator here at the courthouse and at the jail Sallyport. Again, that's the original generator to the building. And this is a budgeted item.
Do I have a motion?
So move.
I have a motion on the floor to replace the generator at the courthouse and the jail. Any discussion?
Is that, the existing generator, does it work at all?
It works, but sporadically.
Is it gonna be on surplus, or is that part of the deal?
That I'm not sure of. We'll check with you. Yeah, but probably.
Any other discussion? I have a motion on the floor. All in favor, show sign of right hand. Motion carries. Okay, public comments. If anyone is signed up for public comments.
Yes, sir, we have Ms. Janice Gaines.
Okay, public comments time is open. You're allowed 3 minutes.
Good morning.
Good morning.
June the 1st, 2021, Mr. Ed Kamadi, Ms. Shirley Edwards, and myself attended the County Commissioner Public Comment Meeting. We were very concerned about the pandemic, our elderly, and those on fixed income. Mr. Kamadi and Ms. Edwards would make it a plea for the board to wait on the finance report before they made any decision before the vote. Some board member promised that they will wait 10 days before they voted. Those involved rescinded. Before we could get into our cars, the board quickly had a closed-door session and voted to raise the property taxes. July the 20th, 2021, Ms. Spate, the finance director, gave the 2020 and 21 budget report. Property taxes collected $52 million for the year, 3% above the budget than the last budget. What was the urgency? The liquid collection was $140,000, $1.04 million collected. What was the urgency? Automobiles, $7.3 million, 877% above. What was the urgency? Sales taxes surprised the entire state of North Carolina. Collected $26 million, 2.4 increases. What was the urgency? Unassigned fund balance, $5.96 million. What was the urgency? North Carolina lottery, $1.5 million would be allotted yearly for, I believe, 5 years. What was the urgency? Not to mention North Carolina state and federal funding that was given. So let the people know, the elderly, those on fixed incomes, during hardship, the pandemic, and which the stimulus money that was a blessing to them, it became a greater blessing to you all. So what was the urgency? And I also like to ask, I stay in the city and paying city and county taxes. I know what the city's supposed to be doing, but I don't see what the county is doing. So why do we have to pay city and county? We like to know, just not me, some others like to know what the county is doing for those in the city. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Is that the only one that had signed up, ma'am?
That's the only one, yes, sir.
Okay, public comment session is closed.
That, I guess, is county manager's report, and I just really do want to thank the work that our health department and public affairs and emergency management staff is doing in really trying to deal with the changes and variants that we've had with COVID. It is a moving target every day. They're changing the requirements. They're saying 100 must, anything over 100 must be tested or vaccinated. and how that's going to fall back on us. So I do want to thank the resiliency that we have in our staff and the flexibility that we've had to try to make it as simple as possible. And I appreciate Dr. Stackhouse and Dr. Weiss and Joel being here today. And we're trying to be as transparent as possible moving forward. So that's all I have.
Okay. County Commissioners Committee reports and comments. Commissioner Gurley.
I'd like for us to, as we stated already, to keep the Allen family in our thoughts and prayers. Chuck was a good friend, great leader, and loved Eastern North Carolina. I talked to Ronnie Keeter this morning with DOT, asked him to give me some updates on some things just to make people think. People complain about the grass cutting on the side of the roads. People complain about the litter. People complain about their ditches not being dug out. As of from January 1st of this year to this morning at 7:28 a.m., 9,728,535 pounds of trash have been collected on North Carolina roadways. That's a lot of stuff for people throwing out, throwing the trash out. I mean, we come home the other night from church and somebody had thrown their stuff out at the intersection, just at the stoplight, just throwed it out on the ground. I was in line at school the other day to pick one of the girls up. Somebody just rolls the window down and throws their can out the window on the school property. With that 9 million pounds of trash, the state has paid out $13,233,590. $13.25 million we've spent on trash collection. Trash collection. What could that have been spent on? Drainage issues, highway projects. I mean, people want to complain about the DOT's not doing this, the DOT not doing that, and and back in the day we had 45-ish people at the DOT in Wayne County. Now we got 14 to 16. Now there's a few just throwed some over the bow at Luther, which is the DOT engineer. Luther is doing a phenomenal job in Wayne County. Luther lives in Wayne County. Luther loves Wayne County, and I appreciate what Luther and his crew at the North Carolina DOT in Wayne County does for us. But I just want people to realize, $13 million to date, as of this morning, from January 1st, has been spent on litter collection. Something that we should not have had to pay out. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Commissioner Daugherty.
We really lost a champion for Goldsboro and Wayne County. I was talking to somebody the other day, and I said, it's amazing how Chuck, and working with Chuck, how my impressions of the man changed over the years. Chuck was unique in that he could talk to the governor, or he could talk to the man sweeping the street, and he treated them the same. Chuck had also a unique ability to be able to find a way to make things happen. I remember early on when Bill Pate was reaching out on the building of the Agricultural Center, and we were looking at a site near Cherry Hospital. And we met with Chuck, and he turned around and he said, listen, we need to find a way for the county and the city to come together and work together to build what this county and this city has needed for years. And we said, well, we just don't have the way to finance that. And one of the big things that we, as this board, stood up for, and that is we don't want to build a civic center or a convention center and constantly drain resources from our budget. He said, well, let's find a way to make that happen to where we can provide the financing to sustain the Maxwell Center. And it was amazing. We put our heads together and found it. But it was Chuck's leadership. And it wasn't only that. It was, I remember criticizing him on the streetscape and said, oh, you're just throwing money away, Chuck. Oh, my goodness. He had that vision to see what it could bring and transform downtown Goldsboro, and it's a tremendous success. So I reach out to the family and friends and those working for Allen Construction Company and state that we share your loss. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Commissioner Williams.
Thank you, sir. First off, I want to thank the organizers of the Freedom Fest. It seemed to be a success over the weekend. There were thousands of people downtown. People seem to be happy and excited about this festival. So kudos to the people that organized it. Also, I don't want us to forget it's National Hispanic Heritage Month. It is important that we acknowledge and honor Wayne County's Hispanic employees, as well as the Wayne County's Hispanic population. Within the county and this country, our Hispanic men and women have contributed by serving in our armed forces. Our Hispanic population has contributed across this country. We benefit through their culture and arts, our Hispanic doctors and school teachers, our Hispanic scientists that actually worked in labs to help fight COVID-19. Our future will be shaped by Hispanic families. Please acknowledge that they contribute greatly to our community. Thank you to all of our Hispanic men and women in Wayne County. Thank you.
Commissioner Foster.
Yes. I'd just like to say, I think that, I know that we made a motion to, wear a mask and to protect ourselves throughout the county and throughout the buildings, especially around other people. When you're in your office, you don't have to have on one. And I would just ask my fellow commissioners to follow that also. What example are we setting for employees? What example are we setting for people watching us if we can't lead the right way and follow policies and procedures that we put in place? So I would just ask that y'all do that for me, please. Thank you.
Mr. Harrison.
I'd like to thank Commissioner Williams. He just stole my thunder about the Hispanic Heritage Month. But I don't want to be a downer, but I got a few things here. One, I ran into a problem over the last 2 weeks. Healthcare in Wayne County, men's groups or women's groups and so on and so forth, is non-existent at this point. Now, the veterans have some aid, but the general public, there's no place for them to go. And you can blame it on COVID or whatever, but we need to find some way to get the folks help that they need. How, I don't know. I'm going to reach out to Commissioner Foster in East Point, see if they can come up with something to do. But mental health in Wayne County is a serious issue that I think is being overlooked and being swept under the rug. Two. Yes, sir, go ahead.
Yes, that's something that I've been working with recently, speaking with East Point on that, attending their meetings about that. It's a major issue. Depression, schizophrenia, bipolar, it's not really being addressed a lot here. We're addressing the mental health side of drug abuse, but we're not always hitting all of those other areas, and a lot of people suffer from depression and they don't even know it, because they don't have anybody to reach out to. And the cost of going to sit with a therapist or someone is outrageous, so they can't afford it also. So hoping that in the future we can start to work some of those avenues, and I thank you for bringing that up.
Thank you, sir. But it is drastically needed. And the Family Drug Treatment Court, I think that's a wonderful program. It needs to be supported. And if there's anything that the county commissioners can do, I think we need to do. And Mr. Chair, that's all I have.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Williams has a comment.
Mr. Williams?
Also, which, when you gentlemen brought up the mental health issues here, I think a lot of times downtown, I'm downtown a whole lot, and a lot of people don't realize how much of a homeless population we have there. It's growing. I'm seeing new people all the time that have all their belongings and they're sleeping on the streets. So I'm shouting out to anybody who has means to help these people. It's not hard to see someone that's living on the streets. They come in my store and I feed them. I try not to make a habit of it, but there's needs. There's women that are pregnant that are walking downtown barefooted, that are homeless. And, there's a lot of nonprofits in this town. And I'm just asking, if you see someone, approach them and see if you can help them on some level. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I got a couple of things. Commissioner Gurley's already hit on it. The DOT has stepped up a little bit, or no, a whole lot. And I know they're working on the eastern part of the county now, mowing grass, because it's embarrassing to ride down some of the roads, but they are stepping up, and so all the calls that I've got on it, I try to explain to them that the county is not responsible for the roads, but they don't understand. But thanks to the DOT for stepping up and taking care of it is the best that they can. They're limited on what they can do. Also, the emails that I've been getting, I don't know about the rest of you, just a form letter. If you're going to send me an email or a letter, don't use a form letter. Write what you think and send it to me. I do appreciate all of them, and I've got probably 24 of them. Very same letter. I do appreciate the people putting their name and address and contact number at the bottom, but it just don't sit well to get a form letter from somebody. So I'll leave it at that. Also, let's keep Commissioner Barbara Aycock and her family in our prayers. Her husband's going through some difficult times right now. She planned on being here today, but something has come up that she had to be there. Also, tonight, the Wayne County Firefighters Association county meeting is at Salisbury Fire Department at 7 o'clock if anyone would like to attend. And it's at the church right behind Salisbury Fire Department. And also, Commissioner Gurley mentioned on the litter. I mean, it's disgusting to get out. I keep a section clean on the road that I live on, and it's disgusting to pick it up, and 3 days later you got to go back and pick it up again. We just, I don't know how to get the word to people. The word I'd like to use is just sorriness, but I don't know whether they realize what they're doing or not, and what the cost is for the state and all of the volunteers that has picking up trash in Wayne County. You can't put a dollar figure on that, but and probably most likely the ones that are listening to us right now or looking at us on TV is not the ones that's throwing the trash out. So, if you do see someone doing it, contact the sheriff department or our code enforcement officer or somebody. But and the sad part about it is that you can ride out to the Midwest or in other sections of the country and you don't see it. I mean, I just don't get it. What's the point? And I mean, all of us have got trash cans at home. All you got to do is just keep your trash in your vehicle. When you get home, put it in the trash can. It's just that simple.
When you fill up gas.
Yeah, I mean, when you stop at the gas station, every gas pump's got a trash can. I mean, I just don't see the point. But that's all I have. Anyone else have anything? If not, we do need to go in closed session, correct?
Yes, sir, to discuss the location or expansion of businesses in Wayne County, to consult the staff about purchasing property, and to consult with your counsel to preserve attorney-client privilege.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I move we go into closed session.
I have a motion, we go in closed session. All in favor, show your right hand. We have come out of closed session. We're back in regular session now. Is there any other business to conduct?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion that we move that the board approve the letter of intent for Project KBTD contingent on the final approval by the county attorney.
I have a motion on the floor. Any discussion? If none, all in favor should sign the right hand. Unanimous vote, Madam Clerk.
Thank you.
Does anyone have anything else? Okay. Do I have a motion? We go out adjourn? I don't have to have a motion, do we?
No, sir, you just adjourned.
We're adjourned.